What up, it's Red, and this is my Little Big Planet 3 wish list. First, let's start off with some of the things that I want changed or added into Create Mode. So the first thing I want added into Create Mode is the option to change the shape of the player sensor and the tag sensor into a square, just kind of like the game camera, how it's a square, and whenever your player goes inside of that square, that's when that camera activates. I want the ability to make a square or even any of the other shapes that we're able to use for materials. I would like to have all that customization for the player sensors and the tag sensors. Another thing I want for Create Mode is when you're split screening. I don't split screen a whole lot, but I know some people do, and when I do split screen, I think this would be really cool to have. In Create Mode, it's not usually very much fun to split screen with somebody and try and create something in Create Mode because you can't go your own way. You kind of have to be working on the same thing at once, and it's just very confusing. But maybe what they could do is kind of split the screens a little bit, maybe put the thermometer in the middle, or maybe they could kind of split the screens whichever way the players are headed, kind of like if you've ever played any of the most recent Lego games, like whatever the recent Lego games are. I can't think of any off the top of my head. But they kind of split the screen in half, and they could put the thermometer probably somewhere in the middle or something like that. But I think it would be cool to kind of have like a split screen mode for Create Mode. And that could also go for versus levels as well, because I know versus levels are kind of meant for everybody having their own screen. So maybe they could implement that into split screen as well. Something I would like added is a mover that makes the shape bigger or smaller. So it would be under the movers category or something like that. And you would place it on one of your objects. It could be something really complex, or it could be just a standard object that they give you in the story mode or whatever it is. And you place it on there, and you can determine, what triggers this, how big does the shape get, how much smaller do you want the shape. This would basically just change the size of the shape. We do have the in and out mover, but this could also maybe do something like that. Like it could also maybe make it bigger in the sense of that one layer, or it can make it bigger in the sense of, it bulges out a few layers. And there's got to be more layers in Little Big Planet 3, as we all know. So this, I think, would be very, very helpful to have something like this that actually makes our shapes bigger or smaller, whether that be in the same layer or whether that stretches it out through different layers or shrinks it between different layers. That would be really cool to have. The next thing I think would be really cool is if they made a checkpoint that you could actually determine how many lives you get. We have single checkpoints, double life checkpoint, and infinite life checkpoint. And with a single checkpoint, if you're playing with one player, you get like 3 lives out of it. Double, you get 6, and infinite, obviously infinite. But I think you should be able to place any of these. And maybe I press the checkpoint and then I open up the menu, and instead of just only being able to change what it looks like, I could also change how many lives I get out of it. So maybe I run past the checkpoint and it's set to 1, so I get 1 respawn. So if I die once, I get 1 life out of that. Or maybe I want 7 lives out of my checkpoint, so I'll respawn in 7 times if needed. So we got the power-up remover in Little Big Planet 1 through a DLC, but I don't think that's really enough, and because really the only way that you can force somebody to remove their power-up is pretty much to just use this X. I mean, there's probably some other creative ways you could do it, but the X is really the best way to do it. And I think that there needs to be another way to do that. Like there needs to be, activation through a player switch, You run through the player switch and then you lose your power up, right? Something like that would be very cool. And with the new shaped power switches, player switches, and the new shaped tag sensor switches, I think that would be very cool to let us drop items just by walking through somewhere or by grabbing something, just with the switch. Something that I think would be really cool and really utilize the PS4's like strength and technology and its capabilities is give us a much larger thermometer. Let us create even more than we're already able to create, because I know the PS4 is capable of handling a lot more than the PS3. So I'm sure that the thermometer is going to be a lot bigger in Little Big Planet 3, and I would be really surprised if it wasn't. So a lot of people use Sackbots in their levels just so that you can really customize it however you want. You can like build everything off of it that you want. You can make it move as fast as you want, jump as high as you want, and do whatever you want. So I think they kind of need to do that with Sackboy and even the new characters that they're bringing in. I think they need to do stuff like this as well. Make it so we can move our character as fast as we want them to move, and make them jump as high as we want them to move. So maybe we don't want them to jump at all, but we don't have to use a sap. We don't want to have to use a sack bot to get all this done. The next thing I want, and it's kind of something small, it's basically to put like stickers and decorations on top of our bounce pads. So as you may know, you can't put stickers or anything like that on a bounce pad. So I think it would be cool to actually kind of customize our bounce pads a little bit instead of giving them the exact same look. I think there's a lot of creativity to be done there, and it would be really cool to have that extra feature. This is pretty much all I can say about create mode right now. We really don't know how it's going to work exactly yet. We do know that there is going to be stuff that's kind of like curvy between layers, like as you saw in the trailer and in the gameplay that they showed. There was like a little rope that the Sackboy grabbed onto, and it wasn't exactly like a straight rope. Like it kind of like shifted between layers, it curved and stuff. And I already think I know how that's going to work pretty much. They're just going to like give us something that like kind of curves from one layer to the next, and depending on where you drop is the layer you're going to land in, if that kind of makes sense. And they also showed a lot of things where Sackboys and the other characters as well are in different layers rather than the first three. So I think that's really good how they're really embracing the fact that there is a lot more layers, and they kind of took the layer glitch that we've all known, and they've really messed with that and really let us use that to our advantage. So yeah, I'm sure create mode will be a lot of fun in Little Big Planet 3, and let's get on to some other stuff. Something that I liked in Little Big Planet 1, but I kind of got used to this in Little Big Planet 2, is in Little Big Planet 1, basically what you would go to the cool levels page, because that's what it was called. It wasn't called Lucky Dip. It was the cool levels page, and you would basically like kind of like circle around this one Earth to like find levels that you want, and I thought that was kind of cool. And then in Little Big Planet 2, they kind of gave us like a list, which wasn't really as cool, but it did make sense in the fact that you would scroll through, and whenever you hovered over somebody's level, it would take you to their planet that they have. So that was kind of cool. I think we should be able to kind of switch between whichever one we want, because Little Big Planet has always been about customization, and I think this would just be another way to customize how we want it to look. So if we go into cool levels, we can just kind of get that Little Big Planet 1 type of feel where we can just kind of circle the globe with these levels. I don't know which one I would use. I've kind of gotten used to both. At first I was kind of disappointed that they didn't do that, but I've gotten very used to the Little Big Planet 2 style of doing things. So that would be something that I would definitely want to add to the Earth. Something else I think would be cool is if you have another player in your pod at the same time and you're doing something, and this other player says, oh, I know a level that we can play or something. You don't have to go back to his pod, or he doesn't have to tell you. He can just, hop right on the controller in your pod and go straight to a level, and he would have access to his Earth and everything as soon as he hopped on the controller in your pod. So I think that would be really cool. You could have the option, to turn that on or off. Maybe you have a lot of randoms in your game all the time, and you don't want them, getting on the controller when you're trying to do stuff. But if your friend's in the game and you want him to make a selection of a level, or maybe something on his moon or something, you don't have to, turn the game around and go into a different pod. So I think that's just something really little that can kind of save time. The next thing I want, and this kind of goes along with create mode, but it kind of goes with like everything else, is the touchpad on the PlayStation 4 controller is kind of unique. I think it's very cool how they did that. I really don't like the share button and how that takes you to like a share menu. I think that should just function as a select button. But anyway, I think that there should be like level customization for that touchpad, and I'm sure Little Big Planet will do a great job with that. I don't really even need to worry, because they've done a great job with Move in the past. I know that there's a different studio developing Little Big Planet 3, but I know that they'll, kind of give us something to do with this touchpad. I think that would be really neat. And, since the share button doesn't function as a select button, I guess they'd put the little good grief reporting system in the pause menu or something like that. I don't really care what they do with that. Just let us use the touchpad however we want. Don't make that the good grief button or anything. Just put that in the pause menu if you want. I don't really care. But yeah, the touchpad would be kind of cool for creating levels. Something else I've been wanting for a while, and I guess this doesn't really apply anymore because recently I've been working on my ReDStrukk account a lot on Little Big Planet to, you know, get through all the story levels in Little Big Planet 1, try and get as many prize bubbles as I can. Same thing with Little Big Planet 2, gotta get all those prize bubbles and complete the story. And I recently did that. I did all the DLC I have downloaded, and it took a little while, but I got most of the prize bubbles that I'll need. Because I will be playing on my ReDStrukk account on the Little Big Planet 3. So yeah, I did all that, and here's where I'm going with this. If I ever wanted to get on my ShamWow account to play Little Big Planet 3, I want to be able to make more levels. And what I mean by this is I have my moon filled up with levels that I've made over the years. So, I mean, there's a ton of levels there. I'd like to get a second moon. You know, maybe they'll just give us like as many moons as we can possibly handle, keep creating more and more and more levels. Rather than only getting a certain number of levels we can create. Or maybe they'll put it for like $1 as DLC or something. Hopefully they don't do that, but I mean, hey, it's better than not doing anything. I mean, I would definitely buy it on my ShamWow account. Another thing kind of similar to this is give us more levels that we're allowed to publish. In Little Big Planet 2, we can only have 20 published levels at once. In Little Big Planet 1, we can only have 20 published levels at once. You know, 20 in each game, so 40 total. And I don't really like this. I hope they don't follow that trend and go with only letting us publish 20 in the next game. I'd like to be able to publish, you know, as many as our Earth can handle. Maybe we can make another planet, like another Earth or another just, you know, whatever we feel like, just to really let us create as much as we can possibly handle. I think that would be awesome. The last thing I'm hoping for, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do this because Little Big Planet 2 did this, let us use everything that we've collected in Little Big Planet 1 and 2. Like, that's half the reason I just spent a ton of time playing through all those story levels in Little Big Planet 1 and 2, is because I want to get all the prize bubbles and so I can use them when I get Little Big Planet 3. Or, you know, at the very least, I actually think this would be even better, is if they just gave us all of the prize bubbles for Little Big Planet 1 and 2. Whether you have the game or not, maybe they want to do it, you know, maybe if you've played the game, then you get all of them, or if you haven't played the game, then you don't get any, or something like that, or just, like I said, give us the ones that we've earned previously in that game. I think that would be awesome. You know, I don't want it to be another PlayStation Vita Little Big Planet where we only get to use the stuff from that game. We can't transfer our Little Big Planet 1 and 2 stuff onto the PlayStation Vita Little Big Planet, which is kind of unfortunate. So I really hope that Little Big Planet 3 lets us use Little Big Planet 1 and Little Big Planet 2, all those prize bubbles that we've collected, all the materials, songs, etc. I want to be able to use all those. There's probably something I haven't thought of, but this is pretty much all I've came up with in this time. As I'm kind of looking at the game right here, thinking, what would I change? What would I really want to make sure is different in the next game? If you think I missed some, or if you really think that there's something that they need to do, please leave it in the comments. I really like discussing things with you. So just, yeah, leave a comment about Little Big Planet 3, what you're looking forward to, what you would like them to add, you know, stuff like that. I really look forward to seeing your comments. And leave a like if you like, I guess. And yeah, see you guys later. What up, it's Red. And is Advanced Warfare really going to be advanced? Because, you know, I was kind of thinking about this today. You know, I have just a small feeling, well, it's not really a small feeling. I really have the feeling that we're gonna open Call of Duty Advanced Warfare on the release day. And, you know, they advertise like all this, oh, you can climb your hands and you can